What's going on, everybody? My name is Bendy, and this is Disney Heroes. So, today we have a new month of Arena Coliseum. We got a whole new set of rules and bonus points and all that stuff, so it's time for the monthly tips and guide to this month of Arena Coliseum. Now, this one is kind of just a repeat of what April was, in a way, at least the rule is, because the rule for week 1 of Arena Coliseum is just the 4 bear traps thing again. We literally just had that in April. I don't know why they decided to just do this one again, but that's kind of uninteresting. So it's going to be somewhat of a similar thing as far as anything that was good with the bear traps is going to be good with the bear traps again this time. So Huey, Dewey, Louie especially is going to be the biggest thing. I'll get into it a little bit later, but Huey, Dewey, Louie probably going to be very underrated. But anyways, we're going to go through the rest of this first. The second thing is going to be the bonus points. The first bonus point this month is going to be damage dealt to silenced opponents. So I'm sure you already know that silence is already very, very strong as it is. So all of those top tier silence heroes like Disgust, Angel, Draken, Carl, all those heroes, they're all going to be extremely strong this month, obviously, because they're going to be your biggest silencers. So those are going to be your big tickets to bonus points this month. And then the other bonus point is just going to be HP healed. Now there is a million heroes that heal in this game. Almost everybody does, I feel like, at least to themselves. So it's going to be just kind of use whoever you want for that one. But you could throw in some more healers like, say, Joy, Fairy Godmother, Pooh, Hansel, anything like that. There's a lot of supports that heal their team a ton. Let's get into a little bit more details about who is going to be good, how this all works, and all that kind of stuff. But first, if you guys enjoy my channel, if you guys like what I'm doing here, definitely give me a like, subscribe, comment. I would hugely appreciate it. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We're getting close to 600. I'm super excited about it. So definitely hit that subscribe button, even if you don't give a fuck about my channel. I would hugely appreciate it, and it really helps me out more than you could ever realize, especially as a brand new YouTuber like I am right now. And also, announcement number 2, I now have my June tier list live on anywhere on social media where you can find me. So you can find it on the Reddit, the Disney Heroes Facebook group, find it on Twitter, you can find it on the forums. Pretty much anywhere you can ever imagine, it is there for you to see it. So if you want to check it out, definitely go do so. Very excited about the new one. I think it's definitely probably my best one yet. I think we really honed in on where heroes should go on the tier list. It seems like there's a lot less people that are kind of just complaining about the tier list placement and stuff. So I think everybody is pretty happy with the tier list right now. So definitely very excited about that. Yeah, so let's get right on into it. So as I said before, we got the bear traps as the rule. So let's start with that. I don't think there's a ton to talk about. So the bear traps, they just get laid out on the field randomly. There's only 4 of them, so it's not going to be a huge thing. They really didn't make a huge difference in the April Arena Coliseum, so I don't think there's going to be a huge difference to them now. But what they do is they stun you for 9 seconds. The biggest heroes that are going to make a big difference with that, like I hinted to before, is Huey, Dewey, Louie, because they already have the bear traps themselves. They'll put more on the field for you. They put 3 on the field at the beginning of the wave, so if you have Huey, Dewey, Louie, you're going to start the match with 7 instead of just 4. So that's pretty fun. Huey, Dewey, Louie also gain skill power each time an enemy is stunned. So whenever an enemy trips over the bear traps, Huey, Dewey, Louie is just going to gain skill power. So that's very cool. Also, Huey, Dewey, Louie makes it so that they lose basic damage and armor for 12 seconds if they trip over the bear trap. They take quite a bit of advantage of the bear traps, which is really cool. So if you want to be a little bit cheeky this month, and you have Huey, Dewey, Louie powered up, they could definitely be a cheeky little way to take advantage of the bear traps that are already going to be on the field for you. If you remember from my April Arena Coliseum video, you remember that Evil Queen was probably the MVP of that month. I don't think she's quite going to be as useful this time around as she was that month because stun was a bonus point in April. It's not anymore, but Evil Queen is still going to deal 200% more damage to stunned enemies regardless, so that means that when the enemy trips over the bear traps, Evil Queen just deals 200% more damage to them, so that's very cool. She also just does a whole bunch of stunning herself. Like I've said before, she's still going to be very good this month. She's just a very good hero in general, but she's not quite on the MVP level like she was in April, just because stun is not the bonus points this time. So Evil Queen still pretty good, but not quite the best. Similar to Evil Queen, Gaston kind of has a similar thing. When Gaston damages a stunned enemy, he gains 85 energy, as well as also with his Calhoun friend disc, he deals more damage to stunned enemies as well, so that's kind of just similar to Evil Queen. Again, stun is not going to be the hugest thing for you this month, it's more going to be silence, but I figured I would just mention a few stun stuff. There's really not going to be a whole lot for you. The main thing is just going to be Huey, Dewey, Louie, just if you want to be extra cheeky and you have Huey, Dewey, Louie powered up. So let's move on to the first bonus point getter this month, which is definitely going to be the most useful for you, and definitely the biggest part of this month and this video, I think, overall. It's just going to be damage dealt to silenced enemies. So, if you couldn't guess, Angel is going to be one of the best ones for this. Angel does a whole bunch of silence with her white skill mainly. She also does a whole bunch of charm. And then also, with her purple skill, every time an enemy is silenced, this could be from anything, not just her, Angel gains basic damage, which is very cool. It just makes it so she does a little bit more damage. Now, Angel doesn't do a ton of damage overall herself, but it's still nice that she does a little bit more damage every time something is silenced. So Angel is going to be pretty good this month. You also have Disgust. You also have Disgust, who is, of course, one of the other main silence dealers in this game. She has a huge silence with her green skill for 14 seconds. That's pretty damn long silence. She also steals 2 buffs from enemies when an enemy is silenced. This could also be from any source, doesn't have to be her silence, so that's also very cool. And then also she deals a lot more damage to silenced enemies nearby with her stacks of distaste. So she does a lot of stuff that revolve around silence, as well as the huge 14 second silence with her green skill that she applies herself. Another great one to bring up is going to be Sadness. Sadness also silences with her blue skill for 8 seconds, and then also Sadness makes it so that silenced enemies take 50% more damage from basic attacks in general. This applies to your entire team as well. So if you throw Sadness on a good silence team, all of your basic attacks are going to be dealing 50% more damage with Sadness. So that's also very cool. So Sadness is also going to be quite good. Another great one is going to be Dr. Draken. I always compare Dr. Draken with Angel because I feel like Angel and Dr. Draken kind of do the same thing, but Dr. Draken does a lot more damage while Angel does a lot more healing. So Dr. Draken is definitely more of the damage dealing silence dash charmer, similar to Angel. Actually, I guess similar to Disgust. Dr. Draken also has a huge 14-second silence on his white skill, which also decreases the movement speed of enemies. So that's also kind of cool. And similar to the others that I've talked about, he also deals a lot of bonus damage to silenced enemies. And with his red skill, silenced enemies lose 80 energy each time they basic attack. So another great hero that just revolves around silence, and then he also revolves around charm too. And then also with the Kim disc on top of everything else, if enemies are above 50% of their max HP after the first 7 seconds of the fight, they are also silenced for, I'm guessing this goes to 10 to 14 seconds or something like that. I don't know what it is. I haven't worked on the friend disc yet because I haven't worked on Dr. Draken at all yet, but yeah, Dr. Draken's also going to be extremely good this month for getting you bonus points from silence. Definitely going to be one of the MVPs. The last major silencer I wanted to bring up was Carl. There is quite a few other silence heroes out there. I'll get into probably a couple more once we get into the underrated section. But anyways, Carl is going to be another great silencer for you this month.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
So if you want to pair Carl with like Evil Queen or Huey, Dewey, Louie or one of the other stunners that we've talked about, and then also with the silence, it's going to make it so that Carl's white skill also knocks back, removes energy, and stuns the enemies that are silenced. So that's a pretty crazy little white skill that he has here. He also has silence himself with the green skill. He also takes way less damage from silenced enemies, so that's pretty cool. So Carl's kind of a silence counter himself, so if you want to throw him on the defense as well, that would also be super helpful, I think, against all the enemies that are going to be using their silenced teams. Because obviously everyone's going to be using silence this month, so, you know, if you want to have your anti-silence. So Carl's going to be a silence counter as well as a silence inducer. Ooh, inducer, it's a new word.
I know words, I have the best words.
And yeah, Carl's going to be really good this month. Another great option for just silence and silence countering in general. Continuing with the silence countering theme, we have the brand new Esmeralda. Now, she doesn't have silence herself, but with her purple skill, Esmeralda gains 250 energy each time an ally is silenced. When allies are silenced, Esmeralda also heals them. And then in addition to the purple skill, with her red skill, while Esmeralda or her allies are silenced, and if they are healed by Esmeralda, they also receive 75% of the heal as a shield that lasts 8 seconds. So I think Esmeralda is going to be quite underrated this month. I don't think she's going to be too crazy of like an MVP level type of thing, but Esmeralda is definitely going to be quite underrated, I think. Another one that's going to be quite underrated for a very interesting reason is going to be Fazi. I was reading through some of his skills, and with his Kermit disc, when Fazi or an ally are healed, and if you remember, healing is the other bonus point getter this month, so like that I've kind of transitioned out of silence into the healing section. I didn't really mention it, but that's what's going on here, just so you know. When Fazi or an ally are healed, Fazi's attack speed is increased by 4% for the rest of the wave, and this stacks up to a maximum of, I'm gonna guess, like 80, maybe 100%. So I don't know what this maxes out at on the disc, but it starts at 20%, probably goes to about 100% or something like that. But yeah, every time an ally is healed, he gains attack speed, which is super cool. Didn't actually notice that, so that's going to be super useful if you want to put him on a healing team. So if you want to pair him with a good healer like Joey, Rapunzel, Fairy Godmother, Kermit, anybody like that, there's a ton of support heroes that heal. You could do that. That would be super helpful, I think. So now that we've kind of moved on to the healing part, let's kind of talk about some of the best healers in the game. I kind of already just mentioned some a second ago, but Fairy Godmother is going to be the first one I talk about here. She is going to be great. She is a great healer, for one. She gives Hardy. Hardy's also going to be super useful against all the silence that you're going to be facing, so she's also going to be a great counter as well for the silence, as well as against the bear traps, because I believe Hardy is also going to block the stun from going off from the bear traps as well. So Hardy is also going to be super helpful. I feel like Hardy is always super helpful in every single one of these Arena Coliseum videos. Without getting into too much detail, some of the top Hardy people are Rapunzel, Tron, Belle, Fairy Godmother, like I just said. Fazi gives himself a lot of Hardy. There's a few others that give either themselves or allies a lot of Hardy. But Hardy is going to be super helpful, especially against all of the silence that you're going to be facing, because otherwise silence is really freaking annoying. The other thing that's going to make Fairy Godmother great is going to be her purple skill, which removes all debuffs from allies and gives 2 stacks of Hardy. So what this means is that it's going to be removing the stun from the bear traps, as well as the silence from the silence, and just any other debuff that you can imagine. So this is freeze, armor reduction, literally anything you can imagine that nerfs your team, basically. So she's going to be super helpful, I think, this month. Alright, I'm getting tired of that noise. Alright, go away. Stop. Can we not? Another one that's going to be quite underrated this month is going to be Mad Hatter. Mad Hatter, for one, is immune to all debuffs, so this means that he cannot be silenced, he cannot be stunned by the bear traps, he cannot be frozen, he cannot have any other thing that you can imagine applied to him. So super helpful for that, just for that reason, so he's going to be good to have on defense, I think. Also, he makes his own team immune to all debuffs for the first 4 seconds of the wave with his red skill, so that's going to be huge. So that means that you're not going to be hit by the bear traps right off the bat, so that's cool. And yeah, Mad Hatter, not the best hero in the entire game, but he's been really making a comeback the last few months with Arena Coliseum defenses. A lot of people have been using Mad Hatter for the defenses for their teams the past couple months, so he's been kind of making a resurgence. It's mainly just because he's immune to debuffs, and he grants debuff immunity to his entire team for the first 4 seconds. Mad Hatter, very underrated, I think. Another one that's going to be very underrated is Kevin Flynn. Similar to Fairy Godmother, Kevin Flynn's white skill also removes all negative status effects from his team, so this means it's going to remove the stun from the bear traps, and the silence, and freeze, and everything else you can possibly imagine. So this white skill is going to be very good for that. He also heals quite a bit, and just like Mad Hatter, he is also immune to all disables. Kevin Flynn also has a heal from his Baymax disc, and then also with his Korra disc, Data Shield also has a 20% chance to avoid disables. So this just makes it so that you have a chance to not be silenced. This isn't a great percentage chance, it's only 20%, and it doesn't even go up with the friend disc stars, but hey, 20% chance to not be silenced, pretty cool. So Kevin Flynn, pretty underrated, mainly for his disable immunity as well as the debuff cleanse, just like Fairy Godmother. Continuing with the cleanse, I feel like I've brought Manticore up quite a bit the last couple months with her white skill. She removes debuffs from herself and allies with her white skill, so just like Fairy Godmother and Kevin Flynn, she also has a white skill that removes all debuffs, removes the stun and the silence, so super good. Another one that you're not going to probably expect is going to be Mushu. Mushu removes 3 debuffs from allies that have the longest remaining duration, so this is going to be more helpful, I think, for the silence that you might be facing. Mushu also has a lot of silence himself with his blue skill, silencing enemies for 10 seconds with that. He also deals 100% more damage to silenced enemies, and he's immune to disables while using Fire Breath, which is his green skill. And his red skill also makes it so that he removes 3 more debuffs with his white skill. So with his white skill, he's able to remove up to 6 debuffs from his team. So very cool. So Mushu is going to be very, very underrated, I think. Possibly almost on MVP level, but I don't think he's quite that good, to be honest, to be on MVP level, but definitely very high on the underrated level. And similar to Mushu, with Felix's red skill, he removes 3 debuffs with the longest remaining duration from allies that are healed by Fix It Felix, which is his green skill. So that's kind of the same as Mushu, just not quite as good. Mushu's is definitely way better, but Felix also removes debuffs, which is kind of cool. Alright, so we've talked about some of the underrated heroes. We've talked about just some of the good heroes that are going to be super helpful for you this month in general. Let's talk about a few other really good healers really quick. I'm going to try and just rapid fire through these ones just because I don't think it's super duper important to bring up. But definitely some of the best healers in the game are, we have Tron, we have Rapunzel with her, I think, green skill. Yeah, healing hair. Super good. Kristoff is constantly healing, especially with the Disc equipped. Very good healer. Kermit is a great healer as well. His passive on his white skill is making it so that he constantly heals instead of dealing a basic attack, so Kermit heals are great. There's also Pooh, who I think he does some healing to his team, but mainly he does a whole bunch of healing to himself constantly, and he also gives himself more max HP, which means that he can give himself even more healing. So Pooh, very good if you're just going for healing bonus points. As long as you can keep him alive. Pooh is pretty difficult to keep alive. As I said before, Fairy Godmother does a lot of healing. Hades heals himself quite a bit. Goofy heals himself quite a bit. Joy does a lot of healing herself as well. I believe her basic attack, just like Kermit, also does healing. So she just constantly heals. Mickey Mouse, I believe, also has a heal constantly. I want to say it's his white skill. Oh, maybe not. Blue skill does quite a bit of healing. Olaf heals himself quite a bit. Baloo does a whole bunch of healing to himself, and I think he heals allies as well. So Baloo, very good for the healing bonus points. Kronk does a pretty decent amount of healing. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Pocahontas does a decent amount of healing, but not a ton. But yeah, so those are some of the top healers in the game. There's definitely a couple others. Miguel is also a pretty good healer, but he's also one of the weakest supports in the game in general, so whatever, I guess. So that's some of the healers out of the way. The last thing I wanted to bring up as far as underrated goes is actually Tia. Tia does a whole bunch of silence. She has a huge silence for 11 seconds with her white skill, and it also increases the duration if she's already silencing an already silenced enemy. It increases it by 8 seconds, so her silences can be really, really long, which is super cool. If she's using her blue skill on enemies that are all silenced, it launches 2 of these attacks at once instead of just 1, so if you have her on a very heavy silence team, that's going to just make her blue skill title rush really, really strong. And then with her Yax disc, she has increased silence length to her entire team. I'm going to guess this goes up to like 75% or something like that, because if we're already at the 95 one and it's 45, it's probably going to go up another like 15 and then another 15, so it's probably going to go to like 70 or so. So that's also pretty sick. So Tia is going to be super underrated, possibly on almost MVP level. But yeah, so let's talk about who are gonna be the MVPs this month. I already mentioned a few of them. I already mentioned Sadness. I talked quite a bit about Fairy Godmother and Carl. I think those 3 are going to be really, really good MVPs this month. Carl is probably number 2. Fairy Godmother, number 3, I think. Number 1 MVP, I think, this month is probably just going to be Cloudhauser. He doesn't actually silence himself or anything, but he has so much healing. He heals himself and allies a ton with his white skill, little dancey move. And if you've never faced a Cloudhauser before, he's already just extremely annoying to take down as is. So he's going to be great for getting you the healing bonus points, I think. While he doesn't silence, you could probably just throw him on a silence team. and he'll definitely help you out a ton. And he's just going to be probably your number one best to put on the defense lines for this month, just because he's Clawhauser and he's one of the most bulky in the entire game in general for you. But yeah, so I think Clawhauser, Carl, and Fairy Godmother are definitely going to be your 3 MVPs this month, with Sadness, Esmeralda is going to be pretty good, Tia, Huey Dewey Louie, Kevin Flynn, Mad Hatter, super underrated this month. You got the other cleansers that are going to be super helpful, just silence in general, so Disgust, Angel, Dr. Draken. But yeah, so Dr. Draken, Carl, Angel, Clawhauser, Fairy Godmother, definitely going to be like your top 5. But yeah, so I think that's going to be it. If you guys enjoyed this video, if this helps you out, I hope this helps you out with your Arena Coliseum this month. I hope this wasn't too all over the place. I always feel like these Arena Coliseum videos are kind of like messy because I'm like going all over the place with what I'm talking about. But trying to keep it a little bit organized for you guys. Definitely give me a like, subscribe, comment if you enjoyed my content. We will be back very shortly for another video. So that's going to be it. Peace. Metron is almost 3 million. Holy shit.
Evil Queen is now the new background for the really good category.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fuck them all.
I love poo.